What's good, everybody? Grind, Shine, Recovery. As always, before we get into it, hit that like, share, subscribe. Let's grow this channel. We're about to 1K. We're going to hit 100,000 here, guys. I promise next couple of years we will get there. We will get that plaque. This is a community, though. We're a community of addicts showing that we can change. Positive change is possible. And we're supporting other addicts who might still be out there struggling, helping them, get back on the right track, because we all know it's very hard to do. So before we get into it, title is, I've not shared this because I wanted to make sure I was successful before I went through all this. I weaned myself off Suboxone. Now, how I did this was, first of all, I attempted a year ago to go on Suboxone and go that route to get off. And I was not able to do that because I was only able to do the Suboxone for 2 injections due to the way it's very difficult to get, and your doctor has to have special license to give this. So due to that, I had to go back on the tablets. I did, and I decided 3 months ago I was going to take myself down. I was going to wean off. I went and did a quarter every 2 weeks. In the beginning, I did do it. I dropped a quarter. 1 week later, dropped a quarter, didn't notice it. I did not want to rush this, guys. Remember, I had this plan and thought this out over 18 months in advance, okay? And I also decided when I came off the Suboxone, if I had greater issues with pain or I felt like it was going to be any type of temptation, that I was going to go right back on. Now, that said, I exercise, I do some other things to help with my back pain. A lot of people have got addicted because they were on pain medicine to begin with, and they might have had a justifiable reason. Myself, I did. What's up, John? Good to have you in here, man. Now, this said, I don't want to say some people, if you're living a good life and you were addicted because you had pain issues, maybe you need to stay on maintenance. Or you need to wait until you're truly ready, and you need to prepare for coming off this drug for at least a year in advance. Now, myself, I wish I would have been able to do it on the Suboxone. I should have never went back on the tabs after doing Suboxone. My wife actually never went back to taking tabs after being on Suboxone. She did her 3rd shot, even though she didn't get her 4th shot. She stopped, and my wife swears she never suffered any withdrawals. She even, up till recently, had an extra prescription that she could have filled, but she never needed to fill it. So basically, it's awesome. She was able to get off without any withdrawals. I didn't feel really any side effects, but now, remember, I did this slowly. I do believe you can come down a quarter every 2 weeks, and you will not feel it. I didn't feel it at all. Now, I felt some struggle when I got down to dropping that last quarter, and I did try to break a quarter in half a few times. Now, I think a lot of that is the mental addiction that comes with it, guys. So that's the reason I really preach Suboxone, and I spoke with my doctor a few weeks ago. I want to do another interview with him and get him on here because he agrees with me. Suboxone, it breaks the mental addiction to the medicine. You know what I'm saying? Because as someone who gets up and takes the Suboxone every day, whether you're not abusing it, you're doing it to stay sober and to do it correctly, you still build that mental connection that this is keeping you well. So I believe really I didn't have no withdrawals majorly. I think a lot of it was a psychological hit to where I wasn't getting up and taking a piece of Suboxone. But as far as actually getting sick, no, I had a little bit of restlessness, maybe some nights, but this is the way I would recommend doing it, guys. But this said, I believe you should not just hear someone say they weaned and go wean yourself. You got to look at your situation and say, hey, I was addicted. If you're someone who was addicted to pain medicine, got on oxys because of a severe injury, and now you're on Suboxone, and if that's helping your pain or whatever, think that through. Maybe try to come off of it, and if the pain gets too great, go back on the Suboxone. There's nothing wrong with if you have to be on a medication for a legitimate reason, guys. I'm making this video. I see a lot of people, I see videos posted about people going on a whim and saying that they don't want to be on this medicine, blah, 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 which is great. But you have to really know when you're ready, because let's face it, to go off Suboxone and go back out and then say you do good for 2 months and then you go back out. Well, I'd much rather just see someone go back on Suboxone. If that's been helping them and that's a crutch that helps them live a normal, functional life, then I believe they need that's a much better avenue than the alternative, which they can go back out, put some dope in their arm and die. And that's why I think this subject needs to be really touched on. And this is one reason I've waited to share this, guys, is because I've always been a supporter of maintenance. And the reason why is because I believe in harm reduction. Let's face it, there's people who are, some people might be on Suboxone because they caught a case, they had to quit using dope or go to prison, and they went on Suboxone, and maybe their life's getting better. And that crutch maybe helps them long enough to live a normal life to get something to lose. And then maybe they start learning about their addiction and start actually working a program, which I tell everyone, if they're going to be on MAT, which is medicated assisted treatment, you need to still work a program. If the 12-step groups may have pushed you out because they don't agree with, MAT assisted, medically assisted treatment, then you still need to get their literature, plug into Mara groups. There's an awesome one my buddy Merck runs on here on, he does a Zoom one on Saturday nights. And if you look back on my last video, there's a link in the chat. This Saturday, I go on an hour before the Mara meeting starts. Merck's normally in here, so I always have him drop the link in the chat. Alan, I really appreciate you, brother. Alan Greenson, man, you have been supporting me for a long time, big dog, and I appreciate that, man. I'd like to get you on here maybe to share your story. Deuce 5 killer, huh? Convict. What about gabapentin? Gabapentin, I have nothing against if it's used right. I know a lot of people are using gabapentin these days, to abuse. Now, 1,800 milligrams a day, I don't think that's a ceiling dose. The ceiling dose for gabapentin, I think, is like 3,200 milligrams a day or 2,800 a day, something like that. And if gabapentin helps, you got to weigh it out. Are you abusing it? These are the things an addict has to be honest with. You might have to be on medicine as an addict. Let's face it, as you age, there's going to be things that come up, or you may have already had a pre-existing injury. So, something like gabapentin, it's a non-narcotic. I know they've talked about scheduling it. To me, I don't even see the sense in abusing a drug like that. If I want to get high, it's not going to be on something like gabapentin. But that's just me. I'm sure I know it is being abused. I know in the joint it's heavily abused. So if you're wanting to get off gabapentin, I will get you some literature, and maybe I'll even have my doctor answer that question, because the doctor that treated me for years is actually a close friend of mine now, even though I don't see him regularly. We stay in contact because he's a good doctor. And see, here's the thing, guys. I got an up-and-coming video. Are addiction doctors bad or good? And I'm going to say my honest opinion is a lot of them, I believe, are just in this for the money. I say most of these addiction treatment centers and most of these doctors are in it for the money. Now, that said, guys like Dr. B, and a lot of other doctors, the doctor I've had on here, Dr. Charles Russell, he's a great doctor. So there are addiction specialists who are in it for the right reasons, but I believe a lot of these treatment centers and doctors are in it to get rich fast. So that's the thing. Here's the way I look at it. If a doctor is a good, medically assisted treatment doctor, he's not going to only be about the money. He's going to try to work with his patients if he believes it's helping them get them well. He's not going to turn them away over just financial issues. I believe you really got to vet. That's one thing is a lot of these doctors just get people on Suboxone. They never push to get them off. And I don't believe they should. At the same time, I don't believe they should. I believe the person needs to get to a point where they want to be off this medicine, because it's a medicine that does help people. I mean, I've seen people who have, held their life together because they're able to take this medicine. So, I mean, like I said, I believe in harm reduction, because to tell people something like Suboxone that can help them live a functional life and get to know what life's really about, to tell them that's the same as doing dope, which I've heard a lot of people be told that, they go to a meeting and they get that turn in their face. I believe, we should support them people, because you know what, that's someone who's trying to get help. And just because it's not help, someone in NA agrees with, don't mean it's not the right thing for that person. To turn them away or to be rude to them and push them away from a program that's about support and addicts supporting each other, seems to go against the message. Because to me, it's about helping the next man, coming in, because we all know how hard it was when you first start trying to get your life together. We all know how hard that is. So I just wanted to share this, guys, because it is possible. I don't think should be anything. Never do this on a whim. Never think I'm going to wean off this medicine. Don't do that on a whim. If you're going to do this, plan it out so you're successful. And also speak with your doctor, because if your doctor actually cares about you, he's going to say, yeah, go ahead, go for the wean down. But if you feel like you're struggling and you might go back out, come back in so you can get back on your recommended dose that helps you. Because let's face it, that's a far better option than someone going back out. So this is something you need to plan through, guys. If you're going to do it, I recommend, definitely trying to do it. The less medicines you're taking in, the better, the easier it is on your kidney, your liver, the rest of your body. I'm actually just now finally, I go tomorrow for my last testing and urinalysis before they go ahead and pay for my Maverick treatment, which is for my Hep C. That's a video I got coming up real soon, guys. I'm worried, my last liver test and fibrosis test and all that came back that my liver was healthy, but just worries me. I got a very young daughter, and I want to make sure I'm around to see this, my little girl be able to go to college. I do not want something to happen to me where my daughter grows up without a father figure in her life, because, we all know you don't want a daughter that ends up with daddy issues. And this is one other thing, guys, I want to stress, whether you're just getting into recovery or whatever, if you have kids, you got to turn it around for your kids, guys, because your kids are going to suffer from what you do. And even my kids, even though I've been in recovery since 2012, sober since 2014, was my last relapse. March 23rd, 2014 is how long I've been sober, guys. And that relapse, luckily, I had a group that didn't make me feel. I was able to go to my home group and say I relapsed, and they were rallied around me and supported me. I've seen other people be ashamed to go into their home groups and admit that they relapsed. And I believe that's why it's a great thing to be proud of clean time, but I believe you can't don't let that clean time become pride, because when that happens, that's when people relapse and they don't want to get honest with themselves and they don't want to say they relapsed. And you got to go through that process, I believe, of being honest with yourself to grow from that relapse. You didn't lose. I mean, yeah, you relapsed, so technically you're starting over on your clean time, but you did not lose all the knowledge, all the coping skills, and everything that you gained through them, however long that was of being clean. You got tools out of that time to use for the next. That's the way it needs to be looked at, guys. Main thing is always getting back to, your support groups if you do fall off and relapse. But yeah, guys, I mean, this is a disease that's killing people. It's killing people slowly, killing people fast, just with a needle in their arm. And not to mention the diseases that it's spreading, the Hep C. There's many people who's in recovery that's having to figure out a way to get Hep C treatment paid for, which is not cheap. So yeah, guys, I mean, this is a disease that even once you get into recovery, you're still having to deal with for a long time. So, guys, it is possible. Now, everything I've shared, I still support Matt. We're still going to rock the Matt groups here. We're going to still rock Mara meetings here. I'm going to introduce some more Celebrate Recovery literature because I believe in the 12 steps. And it's the 12-step group that helped me the most. So I'm going to start sharing some of that literature on here, guys, because I'm going to share one more thing before I go, guys. And that is one thing that's not stressed enough in recovery. I mean, in good recovery groups like AA, NA, Celebrate Recovery, these things are stressed. But at a lot of recovery and treatment centers, people don't stress this enough. And even with AA and NA, I believe they've watered it down somewhat. But you got to get something higher than self. And I'm not saying your higher power has to be the same as mine, but you have to have a higher power than yourself, whether that is helping others and leaving a good, helping others and things like that. You got to have something greater than self to really help you want to string together a long-term sobriety. And that's one reason I believe I'm going to start introducing the Celebrate Recovery literature, because I'm telling you, when I got really closer to my higher power and closer to my beliefs of what made me a good person and what I wanted to work toward becoming and work towards doing something greater than myself, like helping others, that's when it really clicked in that I wanted to continue this life. And the life I have today, guys, is so much better. I'm so grateful for stability in my home life, stability that I won't have to wait on an indictment to come or catch a case for hustling, whatever that may be. G Dirt, what is up, buddy? Good to see you in here. G Dirt. This is, guys, I want to have G Dirt on here soon to share about his career path and stuff, man. He's another person who's turned it around and really trying to live a positive lifestyle. Shout out to G Dirt. G Dirt's even, gave some advice on some of his videos that helped me get my head back on the right track. Because let's face it, we could get addicted to anything, and whether it be YouTube and social media, these things, we all got to learn this balance of how to handle things like this without it consuming our lives. So, with that said, y'all, stay up, stay grinding, and just stay sober, y'all, for real.